All right. Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. We're going to wait till everyone come into the room.
Are we live?
Yes, we are live.
All right. Hello.
Let's see. Make sure. Get everything up and moving. All right. Why it matters. So I know y'all probably seeing something called Why It Matters. We got it. Okay. Gonna give some time for people to come into the room. Some people say that quiet is not good, but we're gonna wait. We're gonna wait.
Quiet's not good.
Quiet is quiet. Sometimes we gotta take a pause. We're gonna pause.
I don't know about pausing.
We're gonna pause. All right, so we are about a minute and 26 seconds in. So welcome to Love in Rare Form, where we uncover the beauty, the growth, and sometimes the grit behind love in its rarest moments. I'm your host, Lakeisha Elder. What are you laughing at? And this is my co-host,
Charles Elder.
And today we're going to dive into a topic: relationships with in-laws and extended family. So listen, when you become a married couple, when you become in relationships, guess what? You marry your spouse, you marry the in-laws.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people say you marry the spouse, you marry the in-laws. It's almost like building a family. It's like another layer of family.
I agree.
And it matters. It matters when you have extended family. And you want to ask yourself, like, why should couples even care?
Navigating relationships with in-laws could be, an extended family goes beyond holiday dinners.
Exactly.
It's about creating a loving, resilient partnership. And now, when I say partnership, it's more or less not really a partnership. It's a like you said, building a family, while respecting everyone's needs on both sides.
That's true. That's true. Because we always want to respect everyone, and it's a continuous thing. It's not always just, okay, we get married and then we interact with our in-laws at the wedding, or maybe if there's a funeral, but it's a continuous thing that you're always building relationship and always making sure that you have great relationships. So some of the common challenges with in-laws are what? You want to talk about some of the common challenges?
Conflicting expectations about time, support, and roles. Time, support, and roles.
What are so we do support. I think that's one of the biggest things. It's not so much as time with me, it's the support. Because when you have expectations of what does that support look like? A lot of times you'll have couples where, you have in-laws and the couples will say, okay, well, here's one of the challenge. I'll support my family, but maybe we won't support your family, or vice versa. So we want to make sure that there's no conflict when you're dealing with those, because that can be a challenge. More support goes to one family as opposed to the other.
What's that cause?
That caused turmoil.
Division.
That caused division, that caused turmoil, because you don't want someone I wouldn't want your family to think that we support my family more, and vice versa. Like, we try to spread the support and spread the time, especially when holidays come, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. Another challenge is, have we digested that enough?
Yeah.
Support.
Absolutely.
The time and support. Okay. And then one of the other challenges is cultural and generational differences. That is a huge one. Culture and different generational differences.
So let's go.
And then before we do that, so because there's also, and I do apologize, there's four of them: cultural and generational differences, pressure to choose sides, and unsolicited advice or involvement.
Stop right there.
Okay, let's stop right there.
Unsolicited advice and involvement. So I know some couples, I have good in-laws. First of all, I'm gonna put this on the table. I have very good in-laws. I love them. They love me. We've always had a close relationship. Now I'm talking about us. I'm talking about me, my in-laws. And I've always supported them and they've always supported me, me and my wife. So, but I do know in some situations that, if you have that concept of unsolicited advice or involvement, sometimes, and this could be the extended family part. Sometimes, the extended family will say, all right, well, do this and do that, or he's doing this or she's doing that. That can cause a lot of rifts and waves in a relationship, so like if someone is having an issue, say if a marriage is having an issue, don't go to the in-laws, don't go to the cousins or extended family, work it out amongst yourselves. But if you do that, be honest and give both sides of the story. Don't be biased, because if you're biased and give your side, most in-laws will be like, well, what's the other person? Or what's your husband say? Or what's your spouse say? What's going on? But then there's also situations where the mother, father will automatically take, their child's side. So, I've seen it go both ways. But if you get unsolicited, that's the key word. If someone comes to you and just gives you advice, be very cautious of that. If you didn't ask for it and it's just given to you, just be very cautious with that. If it's recommended, be very cautious with that.
Because a lot of times when you talk about the unsolicited advice, or even if it is solicited, and you talked about making sure you give both sides of the story, because if you don't, then extended family and in-laws, sometimes they'll make a decision or their feelings will get involved based on, and even if they don't say it out loud, they will say it in their head, or they'll make, insinuations about, well, you need to do this, you need to do that. And then you are getting their advice. And then what happens is when the couple and the married couple work things out, then next thing you know, you still got those in-laws and those extended family
and those feelings
that's in their feelings, and how could you forgive them? Well, why is you still? And it's just too much, and it gets messy.
Absolutely. So let's go back to cultural and generational differences, because that is very, very important.
It is.
And when combining in-laws and extended family, so that's very important.
That's very important. And so let's just give some insight on that, because cultural roots and generational wings, right, are both needed. And the roots keep us grounded and the wings push us forward.
So how do we give an example of that?
Well, one of the things is that the difference. So when you talk about the differences, right, culture is the lens through which people see the world, and wisdom is learning to look through someone else's lens without losing your own clarity. So we need culture, but also too, families are made up of so many different generations, because we always want to make sure that we get the input of the younger generation and blend that with the culture so that everyone feels heard. And so the family moves forward, family forward.
So like our situation, both our cultures, where we came from, we believe in family getting together and family celebrating and family doing things together, So on that note, our cultures were basically almost, similar. So it made it a lot easier. But then there's different cultures. There could be a culture of a different mixed race,
Sure.
some women from an Asian and someone from Latino may get married. And that's two strong different types of cultures right there.
Mhm.
And, you just have to be able to be willing to understand that and work with that.
Yes.
And when I say work with that, that means you have to actually take the time and work and understand someone's culture, someone's upbringing, someone's beliefs, someone's values, someone's morals. So again, be alert and aware of that. And not just that. And you have to also be willing to communicate. That's a key thing. You have to communicate it.
And communicate those cultural and generational differences.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the biggest generational differences is just like right now, my wife and I were talking, and it's like when we were growing up, we want to get out the house, get out the house, do whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But this generation now, it's video, and I'm not just going to say video games because
Technology.
Yeah, the technology is totally taken over. So the generations, how they communicate is different, whereas in our time, we won't sit in front of you. We want to go pay a bill face to face. I want to go pay the bill. I need to see somebody. I need a question answered. But now, you and you're on the phone and you talk to 5 different AIs, So, that's a different generation. The generations have changed. And, we have these young people now with this new technology and this AI, which is really taking over.
Yes.
So, but it can be good.
Can be good.
Can be bad.
It can be bad.
Because it isolates that human touch.
It does. And when we are looking at generations and cultures, back then it was more, that was our social life. Our social life was getting out, and getting out amongst our friends. This is why driving and getting our driver's license was so important, because we wanted to get out, right?
Absolutely.
But then now the generations, they, like some of them do, some of them don't, could care less about getting their driver's license, and their social life is social media.
Mm-hmm.
So it's different.
Uber
wasn't. I don't know how far Uber has come, but yeah, people will Uber sometimes. So so when cultures and generations collide, the goal is not agreement; it is understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Another point we want to talk about with cultures that, blending cultural differences with generations, because you cannot build relationships with family you refuse to understand, because culture shapes their language and generations shape their listening. Mm-hmm. So you have to build that relationship with extended family. It's so important.
Absolutely.
And the in-laws.
And the in-laws. The in-laws are very important, because building that relationship like that makes you understand how your spouse was raised. If you sit and you talk to the father and mother of the spouse, or you sit and you talk to the uncle or auntie or grandmother, whoever raised you, and you learn their culture. So that helps with that. So, and it also teaches you about their traditions. There may be a tradition that got mixed up in there somewhere. You never knew about it until the last minute. And so, like, when I first met my wife, one of the traditions and cultural means was playing cards. So that's why she thinks she can beat me in spades. So,
Don't do it. Don't do it tonight. Don't. I have already proved.
Okay.
I have already. Let's set no, because you're about to come for me. Let's set the record straight. I have already proved that I can beat you in spades. Okay, moving on.
Yeah, moving on.
Every culture tells a story, and every generation adds a chapter. Every culture tells a story. Every generation adds a chapter. Unity happens when we stop fighting the narration. Can't fight it. Listen, a lot of people say that, well, you didn't ask to be in the family that you're in, but there's a reason why you're in family. There's a reason why you have your in-laws. There's a reason why you have extended family.
True. Yeah.
Yes.
And so the last legacy
Legacy.
Legacy is built when culture is respected and generational differences are embraced.
So true.
Think about that though. When cultural differences are embraced,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you pass that down to your children and to your grandchildren. You teach them about the differences in cultural families and different views and how traditions mold. One thing I like that we do as a culture and the tradition is that we celebrate the holidays. We always celebrate the holidays. And like I said, when my wife and I got together, you know, we come from families that like to celebrate. Yeah, big families, they celebrate, come together, you know. But as time has gone, we started to fall apart. Everybody started going their own ways and raising families. And there was no one like the old matriarchs that used to say, listen, like my grandfather, he was, and I tell my wife this, he didn't care where his brothers and sisters were at, and their money was in New York. If he was having a family reunion, you better be there.
Mm-hmm.
You better be there. He did not care, but you better be there. So,
and that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. Healthy boundaries with family are not walls, but bridges to deeper respect.
That's true.
It bridges deeper respect is what that does.
Yes. And a lot of times family think that, okay, there's a boundary there. Well, the boundary is just so that it's healthy. And people don't think about boundaries being healthy. People think about boundaries being a hindrance as opposed to being healthy. But boundaries are healthy because we want to make sure that there's a mutual respect.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes it's don't give your opinion unless I ask for it. Or a lot of times, you know, we're not so much like this, but a lot of couples or families, whether you're family or not, they want a phone call before you come to the house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it could be a healthy boundary.
That's a healthy boundary.
It depends on how you see it. You know, I can respect that. Hey, you know, whether you're my family or not, if you want me to call you before I come in, hey, you know what, I'm stopping over. I didn't understand because we had that conversation with our son,
mm-hmm.
you know, and
Absolutely.
And we have to respect the fact that even though it's our son, even though it's his home and stuff, and we're always welcome, doesn't mean that we can just pop up. Now, sometimes he you know, would want a phone call, you know, just to make sure, because when we had that conversation, it was like, Mom, sometimes I may not be home, sometimes the dog may be out, and so just give me a call, you know, when you're on your way over, because he wants to make sure that he's there, make sure that everything is kosher, or the dog is put up before we come, because he knows I don't like dogs. So that is a healthy boundary.
Yeah, we know.
Don't do it. Hello, Abe. Hello, Pam and Kashay. Hello, Shay and Tiffany. And so Abe said, yes, and amen. We need to have healthy boundaries no matter who it is. That is so true.
Yes.
That is so true.
Yes, I agree.
Especially with, you know, when it's in-laws, when it is extended family, healthy boundaries are good.
Yes, they are. Absolutely. Absolutely. They keep you in check with your in-laws. They keep you in check with your spouse. I'm messing with her, y'all, right now because here's the key thing. No, I'm saying this. Here's the key thing. Boundaries, whenever we deal with a situation, regardless of who it's within our in-laws or whoever, we'll talk about the situation, you know, and then we will make a decision from there. But we always keep our boundaries to the respect of the elder. I'll say it that way, or the matriarch. You know what I mean? We never disrespect, because we always mind our manners. Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir. Always do that. Takes you a long way in life. But we always keep our boundaries. And so here are some keys on how to build respectful boundaries.
That's true. And family often takes one another for granted. That is so true, Abe. And we don't want to do that. We don't want to take for granted that just because we're family or just because we are husband and wife and we're married that we shouldn't have healthy boundaries. That's almost like when wives and husbands eat off of each other's plate.
Oh, don't do that to me. Mm-mm. It's only on my plate.
Now, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
I took a potato chip out of her bag one time and she about wanted to cut my arms
You are
off.
always eating off my plate. Or you'll say, are you going to eat that potato? Or you going to eat that French fry because you love French fries?
Now, I do ask you about a French fry. Now, anything else, I don't mess with. But them French fries, I will. I'll ask. But you said the key thing. I asked.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. All right, ladies and gentlemen. What we just had, communicate clearly is one of
after my French fries.
One of the respectful boundaries. Communicate clearly.
The keys.
The keys.
Communicate clearly, right? Express your needs kindly and clearly. Avoid assumptions. And use I statements. I think we talked about this before. Use I statements.
That's my key word. Communicate. That's it. Communicate. I makes you responsible for you.
True.
So show unity as a couple. Now that's a key thing. That is very important.
That is very important.
Very important. So if there's an issue or concern, if someone's caused a rift in your relationship, you know, you want to communicate with all parties. Hey, we stand as one. And here's our decision. And this is what we're going to do. You know, it may hurt some people's feelings. It may not. But as long as it doesn't hurt us, we don't never want to hurt nobody else. But we don't accept to be hurt either.
True, because sometimes you have to agree privately and then present a united front. And if that means stepping away, and here's another thing, family will egg stuff on, right? They will instigate stuff because this is one of the things that they do when they know how you used to be, because we've been married for 27 years. And so when we're in front of family, you know, or sometimes when couples are in front of families and they don't know that you've changed and you've grown in your marriage, and all they can think of is, well, you used to do that, so I'm going to continue to try to instigate little things and say little things, thinking that it's going to cause a rift. And sometimes it's not about them, it's about making sure that we have a united front.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So your partner comes first. Your partner comes first. And you have to reinforce that. And then be consistent.
Be consistent.
Stick to your boundaries lovingly. Do it in a loving manner. We talk about that a lot. Do it in a loving manner. Don't do it boastfully. Don't do it with anger. Don't do it pridefully. Do it lovingly. But just be consistent. Hey, I don't think we should do that. Mom, Dad, I don't know if I agree with that. You know, I would look at it like this. What do you think?
Agree. Because a lot of things, sometimes things are said with our family and we don't necessarily agree, but sometimes we'll talk about it afterwards, like on the ride home, or we could be in a car, or we can be in a private setting, and then we'll talk about, hey, you know what, let's revisit this comment that was said amongst the family. What are your thoughts? And we'll talk about that. And it wasn't necessarily something that we needed to respond to, but it's something that, you know, we heard and it's like, And then we'll talk about, you know what, if we hear this again, maybe next time we'll address it or make a comment, you know, because there are times where, again, family and extended, family and in-laws, even though you have grown in conversation and relationship building, everybody don't grow on the same level. Not saying that you've outgrown them and you're on a different level or a lower level, but it's just different areas in life that we see differently.
Different experiences.
Different experience, exactly.
It goes to different experiences. Yeah, there's different experiences. In marriages, every marriage is not the same. Every marriage is not the same. We cannot duplicate the same type of history that we have with anybody else, and we can't do nobody else's. So again, every marriage is different. It's
Mhm.
how we communicate and how we work through the issues and how we stay consistent, which makes us the better us,
That's
the
true.
better us for our families, for us first, but then for our families.
Mhm.
Assertiveness is the language of self-respect in relationships.
Yes,
And
it
that's
is.
by Harriet Lerner.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Assertiveness is the language of, okay. So when you talk about assertiveness, being a language of self-respect in relationships, because if people don't respect you, then they'll just feel like they can walk all over you. I remember a time where, you were doing something with a poster or like doing a drawing.
It was a big sheet. Yeah,
a big sheet, and you were drawing, you were making something for school.
Mm-hmm.
And
no, it was for the church.
It was for something,
Mhm.
and you had to put it up, and it was very creative, and you were like in that mindset, okay, I'm creative. And then family members came over, and it was like, oh, being very loud, walking over, almost like they were walking through you because you were in the middle of the floor trying to make sure you had this, because it was bigger than what we thought it was going to be. And I remember having to tell family, listen, y'all got to go. And this was my family, your in-law, but y'all got to go.
She did. Kicked her right out the house. I remember that. Yeah.
Yes. When it comes a time where there is a borderline of disrespect, and my husband is working on something, that's one thing we don't do. We don't allow family to disrespect each other.
Mhm.
And so if you come into our home and there's something that my husband, he was working on at the time, and I was like, yep, y'all gotta go.
Mhm.
Because that's something that I feel like if it's my family, he shouldn't have to address it.
Mhm. And likewise. But I think we again, that was one incident where
That was one years ago.
Yeah, years ago. We again, it's life, and communication. So
And family relationships.
yeah, extended family. And we have extended family outside of blood. We have extended family. We have an extended son. We have two of them, and a daughter. We have an extended daughter, Shannon, and so
that's true.
Extended family goes beyond blood. And that's one key thing people got to understand, because you could have somebody in your life and it's like a brother to you, like I have several brothers.
Yes. Or a child that you probably didn't bring into the world, but you adopted them as a son or a daughter. And even that is huge, because, they're not blood, but they are family.
Absolutely.
And that sometimes that relationship with that family is as equally as important as with your blood family.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
People are often envious of your relationship. That's true, Ave. Guard your heart and guard your relationship. Discern the hearts of those who are in your circle.
Absolutely.
Because when you have people that are in your inner circle, especially those who you're sharing about your relationships or sharing about your marriage, if you should so do, you have to discern, do they really want your best? If they're not praying, first of all, that's my thing. If they're not praying for our relationship, and I know that you're not one that's going to pray, then don't take sides. I think that's my biggest thing. Don't take sides. Just pray.
That's how your family is, though. There's a prayer.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Not that my family doesn't pray, because they do, but
we're definitely a huge praying family.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about blending traditions and cultures.
Share stories and origins of each other's traditions.
So what traditions do we have? So our traditions is, like he said before, we always try to be around family. We never try to spend the holidays alone. We never try to do that, only because family is important. And our biggest ones is, Thanksgiving and Christmas, because Mother's Day, we always try to be with our mothers. But when you could say Thanksgiving and Christmas, we are thankful for our family, but also we're thankful for the families that we are a part of.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Christmas, just because I was born on the 26th, so I just love Christmas.
Yes.
Always have, always will. But I just love the essence of it. And one of the key things is growing up as a kid, my mother always made sure, no matter how our situation was, she always made sure that we had love. And that was a key thing, that was a key thing. And just like your family as well, I remember us always coming together. Every year we always come together. We bring the families together. We try to bring the families together.
Absolutely.
So,
and another tradition is like for Christmas, the night before Christmas. And this is something that has been adopted from different families and different generations of family. But we do surf and turf night, Christmas Eve. It's always surf and turf. We always get together and have a big surf and turf night, and invite the neighbors, the family, the extended family, the in-laws, the outlaws. They come over, and we just, that's the tradition. We have surf and turf night.
Yeah, that's
Christmas
true.
Eve is surf and turf.
Yeah, Christmas Eve is surf and turf. Yeah, yeah. Honors. Here's the key thing too. You want to honor everybody's not their boundaries, but their moments.
Yes.
Their special moments. So, like some families will have special moments that they do. You just want to honor that. And even if you go to someone else's family, if you're a married couple and you don't want to really go, support your wife or your husband and go and share those moments. My wife is always telling our kids, build special moments, build special moments, build special moments. And that's a key thing. You got to build those special moments. You got to build them.
And when you're when you're honoring both families, because it's not just about my family. It's not just about his family or his, our extended family, but it's not just about him having to always come to my in-laws or me having to always go to, the in-laws. It's both of our families, and how do we bridge them together? And we honor both families. We're not going to do something for one family that we wouldn't do for another.
What's Brian saying?
We honor. Brian said outlaws. Yes, outlaws, Brian. There are outlaws, I'm trying to tell you. We're gonna do a special edition on that. Outlaws, in-laws and outlaws. Yes. But honor both sides of the family. There's going to be times, like he said, that you may not want to go, or and then I've heard this before too. Well, we're close, and they're not as close as we are, so we should always go to my family. No, that's not how that works. Regardless of whether their family is close or not, you never know what may come up from families not being close to them, bridging those gaps and coming together and loving on each other. So even if you're close, or even if you're not a close-knit family, still do for one like you would do for the other side of it. Bridge those gaps and honor both families.
Absolutely. And be open to learning and compromise. Compromise. Compromise is a key thing. Just like she just said, you have to be willing to make those sacrifices and compromise. It also builds great respect.
It does.
It builds great respect.
It does. Because when you're learning from each other, and from the families, my grandmother was old when she met my great grandmother, and before she passed away, my husband got a chance to meet her. And listen, you will never get not one word in, because she's gonna keep talking and talking. That's just how she was. Never had a sense of dementia, and so because she did not have dementia, she'll go all the way back to when she was 5 years old. And bring you all the way to the front.
So I'm going to share the story. I'm going to say it. So when I first met her, as I said, they believe in big getting togethers and gatherings. I mean, they believe in getting together. So she tells me the address. I drive my car down, and I'm thinking, oh my God, where she got me driving. So it's called a little town called Chesapeake, right? So you go down this big, long, windy road and everything. You get to the bottom of the hill and you go to the back, and I mean, woo-wee. I pulled up, all these people are everywhere, and they're all looking because they never seen me before. So, and so I met Keisha's family, and then they took me to her great grandmother's room, and
She needed to meet you.
yeah, she needed to meet me. But they didn't tell me that she stays cold 24/7. And I was in the room. It's in the middle of summer, wasn't it?
I don't know when it was.
It was in July.
It was July, yes.
And she had the heat on.
She was older.
She had a stove
had to
on.
be at least in her 80s.
I was baking. And then she gonna laugh at me. We left you back here. But I learned a lot from her. Just sitting there, keeping my silence, I learned a lot from her. And I loved her. Oh my gosh, did we become close, and I loved her. But I learned a lot from her. She talked to me, like he said, she started talking and just talk about her childhood, talk about how she prayed. And I learned a lot. So then I learned her through her.
That's true.
I learned her through her.
And those are the moments when you can sit with when you talk about the generations, when you can sit with, those who are senior in your family, whether it be your own family or in your in-laws, those moments are precious because you get to learn and you have that intimate time with them to where it's just all about them. It's not about what you're doing, what you're accomplished in life. It's about them telling you the stories of how they got over and how they came through life, and they're instilling some of those nuggets and giving you some wise counsel of different things, and they talk about their story, and just to see them light up and remember how they used to live back in the day. Because my grandma back in Chesapeake, we had an outhouse, so we didn't have running water. It was we still had an outhouse. It was years before there was even running water in the house. So you had to go, when you had to use the bathroom, you had to go back in the house. My kids to this day don't know nothing about a washboard where you bruising up them knuckles.
I thought we did that to the kids one time.
Did we torture them?
I think we did.
We probably made them.
I think I did, because they were doing something. I think I did do that.
It don't surprise me.
Yeah, I think I made them use a washboard. They was like, what in the world? I was like, yeah, y'all gonna wash these
jeans, because I think they were trying to do jeans. Was it? And yeah, we give our kids special moments.
If Jeremy was on here, he would be like, yeah.
Special moments of learning, yes. All right, so, and then let's hear from some real life voices and some of our listeners' experience, because we have heard from some people, even with people that, other couples that we connect with and family members. So learning by doing is what they said. We struggled, and this is what they said, we struggled with holiday schedules until we made our own blend of festivities. Now both families look forward to it. And that's great, because when you're trying to navigate the holidays and you are, both sides of the family is big family. Like, I come from a huge family. My husband has a huge family that's, there, and one's in neighboring cities. And so you're trying to split up the time. Okay, half of the holiday will be here, and then we'll get on the road and then drive to the other city and spend the rest of the holiday, or vice versa. So sometimes you have to just make that schedule. Okay, how are we going to split this holiday up? How are we going to do that and make it work for both of us so that we're spending equal amount of time and we're supporting both families during the holidays?
And that was hard, because
we did it for years.
Yeah, we did it for years. We spend time at home first, then we go to my in-laws' house, and then we drive to my mother's house and my uncle's house and everybody's houses, and then we go back home. And that was a lot, not realizing, we were the central home. We were traveling everywhere. We did that for years. And even, like when I would go down and see Trevon, driving through the mountains, drive down there through the snowstorms, and drive back just so I can make sure I could try to see him for Christmas. Mark and Marcus, we made a round trip that one time.
Yes.
But,
blended
families. But, the key thing is that we did it because we did it out of love.
That's true.
We did it out of love.
And support for each other.
Exactly.
And our families. And we wanted to honor both.
And the families loved us, and they wanted us to be there. So we did that. We made that sacrifice.
True. And another couple says, standing strong. After calmly standing my ground with my in-laws, our relationship improved. Respect goes both ways. And that's true. Sometimes you are going to have to stand your ground. And like my husband said, sometimes you have to make sure that you do that in a respectful way. Listen, we don't mind you standing your ground, and everyone should always do so. But just make sure that's in a respectful way so that it does not damage the relationship.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Not your mama did this and me and your daddy did this. No, we don't want that. We don't want that. You get that the attitude and the tone. You don't want that in there.
You and your toot and your tone.
Toot and the tone. Don't get that in there. Harvey said something.
Yes, she was talking to Brian.
Oh.
Brian's talking about outlaws. Sometimes them outlaws will get you.
So go ahead.
So let's talk about let's give you some practical tools. Set clear agreements as a couple before talking with family.
Mm-hmm. You talked about that when you said when we, on our rides home, if we need to address something, we talk it over first. So I think we addressed that one pretty good.
Yeah, and if you see something that is that's going on, like in the family, or even if it's a child, because when you're a part of a blended family like we are, his kids, my kids, our kids, their kids, there's kids, nieces and nephews, now we're raising our nephew. And sometimes, if our parenting style differ and is different, we have to go behind closed doors and be like, okay, so what we gonna do?
Mm-hmm. And that's a key thing right there. Kids, what they see as we as adults, mm-hmm. what they see and what they remember will build their cultural understanding what it is to work with in-laws and the traditions of how to mm-hmm. navigate with in-laws. So if you have a family that constantly says, all right, well, I'm not going over their house. Mm-hmm. Let's just go to your house. And that goes back to exposing hurts in families. And so then you have to have those conversations before exposing your children to them, because you don't want your children to grow up and do that. I think that, well, he spent more time with her or she spent more time there. It's not that. It's not about that. It's about dividing and understanding and communicating the love that mm-hmm. you have for both. Mm-hmm. Now, circumstances may cause for you not to be able to be in the area, but don't do it by choice.
Right.
Discuss the situations. Don't do it by choice.
That's important. Choose your battles. Let go of small disagreements.
Let them go.
Everybody says, you got to choose your battles. When I tell you, that will make or break any relationship. I'm not talking about just marriage. I'm talking about siblings. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about marriage. I'm talking about co-workers. You got to choose your battles. Sometimes everything don't deserve a response.
No, that's just like extended family and, immediate family. Like, my Patriots is doing really good, but them Steelers ain't doing too hot. And then on my extended family side, I hate to tell you, buddy, but them Panthers didn't do good. And he knows who I'm talking to.
To our friends and family. My husband is a Patriots fan. No. Choose your battles.
Choose your battles. Choose your battles.
We said choose them. Don't pick them.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I won't pick them.
Choose your battles. Show appreciation to both families regularly.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Always.
Appreciation to both families regularly?
Always. Mm-hmm. Always share love.
Exactly.
Always share love.
Mm-hmm. And appreciation. Appreciation is just, I appreciate the fact that, even when we want to, because I know a lot of times, like, I've been wanting to see our granddaughter, and I remember a time where you had met her mom and made sure, because our son couldn't bring her, so you met her mom, and mm-hmm. just because it was my birthday, she met you halfway just so that my grandbaby can spend time with mm-hmm. me for my birthday. So, and I appreciated Jasmine for that, because she didn't have to, mm-hmm. But she went out of her way and she made that drive just so that my granddaughter. So when you show appreciation, that means a lot, because mm-hmm. sometimes people don't have to do what they do. They don't have to show you love. They don't have to be mm-hmm. accommodating. They don't have to be in agreements. They don't have to support anything, but when they do, show appreciation.
Yeah, absolutely.
And schedule alone time for your partnership. Alone time.
And that partnership is with, when they say partnership, we're not talking about us. We're talking about with your in-laws. The partnership, the partnership, and your relationship with your in-laws. That's the key word. It's the relationship that you have. Spend time with them. Don't just do the holidays. Spend some time with them. Spend quality time with them. Sit, go shopping, do whatever it is that you consider quality time, and have conversations. Build those special moments. That's a key thing. Build those special moments. And if you're blessed like Keisha and I, we still have our mothers and our fathers, and we communicate with them, we talk to them, and have good relationships with them, and that's a key thing. You want to make sure of that. Build that.
Because the way we love each other is the way that we teach everyone how to love us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. You agree?
I agree. I think, and people can see it. Like, people, listen, when we talk about love and it's real, people see real love. And people see when you try to pretend to be in love. The more you try, the more you try to fake like, oh yeah, we fine. And who are you trying to convince? Because people see it. People see when you're trying to fake love and when you are truly in love. People see that. They see both sides.
True. I agree with that. They can discern what's real and what's not real.
They discern when there's trouble in the camp.
So if I'm sitting like this, so if I'm looking over here, you can tell that. If we're at dinner and ain't saying two words to her, and we got another couple with us, they can feel that. People can feel that.
Right. And don't put them in those situations. If you're on double dates or around people, don't put them in those situations. If there is something that's happening, like say if you're planning an event or something and something pop off or a disagreement happens, settle that before you get company or before you're around people. And if you can't settle it respectfully and honorably, then listen, cancel it until you get it together.
Cancel it?
I say cancel it.
I don't know about that.
What say y'all?
I don't know if I'm canceling.
If you spent money,
spent the money on food, and somebody gonna come eat that food. Somebody gonna come get these festivities on.
We're packing the food up and
something gonna happen.
That's because
get off your feelings.
Get off your feelings.
Get off your feelings.
Okay, so then we need to ask: have y'all ever told somebody get over your feelings? What does that mean? Because people don't always just get over their feelings. You got to respect their feelings. Those I statements. I understand that you feel this way. Can you further help me understand? How did it get there, or what was it that I did that made you feel that way, or what was it that I said that made it bother you in that manner?
And I'm going to say, look, I understand how you feel, but you better come on over here and sit on down and eat this food. I know that. I understand how you feel. I love you. I'm going to love you, but I know you're coming on over. I understand that. I understand that. You in your car. I understand you on 40 on the way. I understand that. See, that's how I like to say it.
That's being selfish.
That is selfish? I'm not being selfish. No, man, I ain't selfish. I ain't selfish.
You say so. Brian said, preach, Charles. Okay, whatever, Brian.
That's right, Brian.
Men are different though, because the thing is you like to cook. You like to cook. And so you're at the end of the day, you just want somebody to come eat your food. But if there is some conflict, if there's some intense fellowship going on, then yeah, the company gonna have to hold up for a minute till you apologize.
Okay. I made a big pot of chili. I bet you somebody come over here and get some. I made a big old pot. Keep going.
Well, again, do it respectfully. because you're about to go there. You're about to go down some roads.
No, I ain't. No, I promise I won't. I promise I won't.
But
I promise.
again, we want to always make sure that we are respecting boundaries, that we're teaching people how to love us. And then Brian says, preach, Charles. Pam say they did good yesterday. She talking about the
I
football.
know what she talking about.
You listen, don't come from my friends. Now, I said feelings are valid, but my dad always taught me to not be controlled by my feelings. Women tend to be driven by feelings. That's true. Women are driven by their feelings, and I think that sometimes women can react because of how they feel. We are driven by our feelings. I feel like I'm not heard.
I hear you, but I just ain't agreeing with it right now.
Agreeing with what? What did I say that you're not agreeing with?
What you heard?
What did I hear? You got to be specific. Well, see, there you go. Mother girl say, grin and bear it, then pick the disagreement up after. That is true. Sometimes you just got to walk away for a minute and then come back to the table.
But what if I ain't ready to come back?
Well, I mean, there's not a time frame to it, but again, when there is disagreements and when you can't honor and love each other, and there is something that is, bringing conflict or bringing a disagreement, sometimes you're not going to be able to settle it just right then and there. You're going to have to just walk away for a momentarily to collect yourself, because sometimes you got to collect yourself, gather your thoughts, calm yourself down. And after you've done all of that, where you can talk in a respectful manner, then you can come back to the table. Because sometimes if you don't walk away and then come back to it, it can lead to people treating each other like they're a child. And you're not my child and I'm not your child.
True.
So that is one big thing to keep from that. Because even though we're adults, sometimes we can talk to those who are closest to us like they are our child. And they're not our child.
Not at all. Not at all. But Rylan runs the nest here. I remember one time, y'all, I just got squirrely. But I remember one time, Rylan did something, and I got on her.
Our grandbaby.
So she goes upstairs. I didn't even whoop her. I just told her.
You said you were disappointed.
And disappointed her.
Well, that was just like a whooping to her.
Oh my gosh. You would have thought I cut her arms off. And then Keisha comes running down the stairs. What'd you do to Rylan? What'd you do to her? What'd you do to her? You hurt her feelings. And I was disciplining her because we was in the kitchen, and I can't remember if she was getting ready to touch a knife or touch the stove. It was something that could have really hurt her. And I tell you what, feelings, yeah. Toning too was quick, buddy. That's with the grandbabies.
It was the grandbaby. This one talk about, okay. Listen, grandbabies is a whole different story. We're not going to even put, because the grandbabies will put grandparents on a whole different level where everything goes out the window. But anywho, relationships, you do have to walk away because you don't want to
damage relationships.
You don't
with
want to
your in-laws.
with your in-laws, with relationships with your spouse. You don't want to damage those relationships. And sometimes when you don't have the self-control to walk away or the self-control to have a crucial conversation respectfully, you better walk away, because it can be damaging. It can be damaging to where you can't come back from it sometimes. And so the lasting power of boundaries and culture: kindness, clarity, and curiosity build bridges within your partnership and your marriages, with extended family. Celebrate your differences as you protect your bond. Small changes now create harmony and love for years to come. Lasting power of boundaries and culture.
I agree.
Yeah. We want those to last beyond us. We want our children to show our grandchildren how to build
Bridges.
to build bridges and not destroy bridges.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And have those great, be able to communicate in a good manner and build family, because family is important. They tell you where you come from and where you're going. And when you talk about cultures and generations, it's so important.
Mhm. Absolutely.
So feelings are subject, Ave says feelings are subject to change. So we have to check our feelings every single day.
Yes.
We have to check, because something's going to happen. Somebody's going to say something that's going to, not really attack your feelings, but emotions and feelings rise. And it's like a roller coaster. They rise and fall, and something may strike a nerve or whatever, and make you feel one way and not the other. And then they say words carry spirits, and you can't take it back once you have put it
in the air. Once it's in the air, it's in the air.
Once it's in the air, it's in the air, it's out there.
Mm-hmm.
And so we always want to be mindful of everyone's feelings. And we always try to listen, if you can find some self-help books, I'm reading one now called Zip It. And when I tell you, sometimes silence is power.
Mm-hmm.
Silence is power.
Zip it. Zip it.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Oh, Lordy.
Silence is power. So we want to make sure that when we are building our relationships and when we have in-laws, that we are being mindful of our in-laws, our extended families, because they do matter. We say why it matters. It matters.
Absolutely.
They matter. And those relationships matter.
You know how you can tell if you've had a good relationship? Well, you won't be able to tell, but how people can tell if if a person has a good relationship with their in-laws and their extended families and their community.
Mm-hmm.
And sadly to say this, but it's at funerals.
Yeah.
It's at funerals.
Mm-hmm.
How many times have we ever, all of us went to a funeral and there's only a handful of people there?
Mm-hmm.
But then you go to some funerals and you can't get in there. Mm-hmm. And also that could be different. There could be other different situations, but mm-hmm. when you build relationships, and that's the key word, relationships with others, and you keep them positive, mm-hmm. and you keep them fruitful, that always builds.
It does.
It builds because you meet new people and you build new relationships. We made a nice couple tonight, and hopefully we'll be able to build a relationship with them, and, we just as a married couple know that everything we've been through after 27 years, mm-hmm. after 27 years of the sicknesses and the health and the wealth and the poor and the richer and poor and all that, one key thing we've always done is keep God first, communicate regardless if we agree to disagree, mm-hmm. but we always love each other.
Through everything.
Through everything.
And one last thing I want to say about funerals, because you said you can tell how families are in relationships, because you hear a lot, if you know that there's situations going on in families, when you hear someone say, yes, and we got to let that stuff go. Mm. And when you hear it, that lets everybody else know, well, what stuff is keeping the family and destroying the relationships within these families. Mm. And that's what we don't want. That's what we strive to. We don't want at our funerals for someone to wake up. Of course, we can't do anything about it then, but we don't want someone to say, yeah, we need to let that stuff go. Mm. Let that stuff go now. You got time.
Let it go in love. Let it go in love.
In love. So with that being said,
we thank you.
We love you.
We love you.
And we'll see you next week, same time, same channel.
Mm-hmm. And got my new shirt on, y'all. Love and rare form. Woo, woo.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you. Love you guys.